This is BioCBD Plus Initial Water Solubility Lab Test Preparation. Okay, we're going to be recording this in short sections just to avoid the prep and setup and the unpackaging of the glassware and things of the like. So what we're testing for right now is to take these different substances. We have the Medix Premium CBD oil. This is a good comparative Indica hemp oil, just the standard oil, which is the base for this BioCBD oil. This is the Indica oil that is processed and has a few additives like turmeric and the like. And this is another CBD oil that is glycerin based, where this one is not a glycerin base. These are the CBD BioCBD Plus capsules. So we'll be comparing these two products to the solubility of the other three products. Here's the current setup. We have 100 ml distilled water on the left and 100 ml tap water on the right. We have this pair set up for each individual product. We'll be doing visual solubility test, and we will be checking the pH before and after to see what has changed. Okay, here's our control. We have distilled water and tap water for each of the samples. Here's our control pH test for the distilled water for comparison. Looks about pretty close to 6. Be a little bit lighter. Here's our control pH test for the tap water. So this looks closer to an 8, maybe between a 7 and an 8 pH, whereas the distilled was right about 6. Here we have the control. On the right is the tap water, looking at right around 8, possibly about 9, and then the left is the distilled water, looking approximately 6 on the scale. We have measured out 50 milligrams in each container. We're going to put them into the water, and then we will press start on the timer. Looks like the distilled certainly started to turn a bit darker, a bit faster, which would be expected. Stirring rod. Still see what's floating around. Oh, look at that orange color. Here's the other end here. still see quite a bit in solution. And some visible particulates still left around as well. We're at just over 1.5 minutes. Let's see the visible particulate. Get some stomach churning action here. There's the distilled. And this is the regular tap water. Certainly a noticeable difference in solubility from distilled to tap, which again is to be expected. The color difference is intriguing. That was not expected. So we're at 2.5 minutes. Most of the visible particulate has been dissolved. Still see little piles right in the middle of each. Seem to be resistant to dissolving. The piles actually look relatively the same size. So let's go ahead and we will get a pH test. pH of distilled. And it still looks about 6. Not much change. pH test for BioCBD Plus capsules in tap water after just over 4.25 minutes. And again, it looks somewhere in the neighborhood of looks pretty close to 8, maybe a little higher than that. See that rich blue down at the bottom? Should indicate upwards of around 10. So somewhere around 8 or 9, probably. Still pretty close to what it was beforehand. Here are the glycerin-based CBD drops. We're going to put 2 drops in each. Make sure it's well mixed. And we'll start the timer now. Actually, to get more of a pH reading, let's do 5 drops in each. 1, 2, 3 more. 1, 2, 3 more. Alright. if you can see that very well, but the drops appear to just be sitting at the bottom of the flasks in the water, right where they lay. Do not appear to be dispersing. You can see some of the particulate beginning to diffuse. Take a clean stirrer rod, one end in the distilled water, and we'll use the other end in the tap water. Both a good stir. This is the distilled. See some visible particulate floating around, diffused fairly well. This is the tap water. Again, we do have some visible particulate, but that's beginning to dissolve fairly well, fairly rapidly. It's almost non-visible at this point. By contrast, here are the BioCBD capsules from previously. Notice you can still see the little piles that form in the middle. So the claim of 100% bioavailability doesn't seem quite so accurate. Glycerin-based drops seem to have dissolved very readily. Okay, we'll get a distilled pH reading. Looks close to 7. So this has raised the pH a bit. Which is peculiar. I expect it to be lowered, adding products that contain CBDA, seemingly, which is the acid form of cannabidiol. Certainly with the capsules I expected it to lower. Here is test strip tap water. Again, about an 8 to 9, somewhere in that range. It looks pretty well dissolved already. Just 4 3/4 of a minute in. Okay, we will be doing 1/4 of a milliliter of each. The BioCBD Plus in the first set, and 1/4 of a milliliter of the Endoka raw hemp oil in each in the second set. We'll begin the timer now. Bit too much of the Indoka raw oil in the distilled side, and not quite enough in the tap water side. So let me fix that. That's closer to accurate. So we do have a bit too much raw oil in the distilled water side of the Indoka raw oil product. But that shouldn't affect this too terribly much. So the first thing I notice is that the Indoka oil, it does float on top. It doesn't sink, and it does appear to be dispersing quite readily. Whereas the BioCBD product has far less buoyancy, laying on the bottom of the flask. Doesn't appear to be dispersing quite as readily. Take a clean stir in the BioCBD. Stir vigorously. Take the other end, and again stir quite vigorously. And mash it a bit. Mechanical digestion goes on in our systems after all. Take a separate clean stir. See if I can move some of these items a bit closer. We'll mix the tap water side and Indoka oil. It really does stick on the stir. Well, if I pull that back out, it's going to affect absorption, so I'll get a second clean. Well, let's actually not use another clean stirrer on this one. Let's just swish it around and see what we have here. Okay, so first thing we notice, there definitely is an absorption difference. The oil is not very soluble. The Indoka oil is not very soluble in water, which makes sense. And this BioCBD oil does appear to be more soluble in water than just the straight oil. Zoom back out and get our timer here. Just over 5 minutes. So Let's say that is pretty significant of a difference than the tap water version. Almost no absorption whatsoever of the regular oil. Which again, the base of this oil is the Endoka raw oil. So their processing does seem to make it more bioavailable. Those are very interesting results. Let's get some pH readings. So BioCBD Plus and distilled. Looks like it may have lowered the pH a bit, which is what I would have expected. It's not a significant difference. It's maybe 5.8. So between 5 and 6. And in the tap water. It is lower. Not a great deal, but it is lower. So it is absorbing. Not much lower than it was prior. It is a bit lower. Strips in the Endoka. Distilled. We have actual pieces that have come off on the paper. Still looks right around 6, maybe between 6 and 7, closer to 6. And then in the tap water side, the Endoka oil, we have looks to be about between 7 and 8. Here's the line so far. Litmus paper tests are not going to be super accurate now because they've dried out over time. You can see the capsule and Dixie tests are no longer accurate. These are relatively new. Done just seconds or a minute ago. So all of these look very bioavailable through oral route of administration, except for the Endoka raw oil, it looks like, thus far. Not a great deal of a change in pH for either. Here is the Medics. This has peppermint oil in it, so pH really is not going to be a big factor here. It's very homogeneous, you don't need to stir it. But this is basically just a control. We'll put 2 drops in each. Well, we'll do 5. Just like the Dixie Botanicals. We'll let this run. You can see the spots in there. Mix them around a bit. You can see the oil layer on the inside of the glass. that's formed. Bit of bubbles. You need to see the usual separate phases of liquid, water, and oil that one would expect in this. So we will go ahead and take pH ratings for this, for the sake of completeness. Here, it's wonderful timing. Here is the distilled with the Medix drops. Looks to be about 7. So, you know, for whatever that's worth, it raised the pH. Which could be due to the peppermint oil or anything that they've added to it. I don't know much about the chemistry of peppermint oil, so I can't speak to that. And the tap water doesn't look like it's raised too terribly much, about the same. About the 9-ish or so category. And that is the Medix. And again, I don't know how well that shows up on camera, but clear separation and mildewish type of buildup on the surface of the glass from the oil where it's separated. Oil and water. No real absorption there. They all are. A full lineup. Again, litmus paper tests no longer valid. As time has passed, an unequal amount of time has passed from each test to each test, so those are thrown out. But still, the BioCBD capsules, we still see those piles in several minutes, half an hour possibly or more. We still see those piles in both the distilled and the tap water. Quite bizarre. So, Indoka oil, great oil, but maybe oral route of administration, not the best for it. Although holding these things sublingually is going to change the bioavailability versus just consuming something in capsule form like this. So there you have it.